My name is Grant Browning, and I'm the founder of one of Toronto's largest Caribbean media groups. With over 20 years of branding and marketing, you can guarantee that I've met some pretty amazing people. My biggest pet peeve is hearing people refer to successful entrepreneurs as overnight successes. But the truth is, there are no overnight successes, just entrepreneurs. Real entrepreneurs with big dreams and a desire to make a difference. They're willing to overcome all the odds just for a chance to taste success. That's exactly what this show is about. Business, success, strategies, the dreams, the struggles, and the victories. We're here to pack a hard punch and knock our dreams into reality by bringing you real stories and experiences right here on The Gloves Are Off. Welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off, and my name is Grant Browning, and I'm the CEO of Carib 101 Media Group, and today we are here with my beautiful wife, and she doesn't know how to take me. Today we have an interesting subject. So once a month we do a show together because we are both in business together. She runs the sales and she's part of the sales management team. And we always get asked constantly questions from couples that are in businesses. And today, based on some experience that happened over the last week, we are going to be talking about keeping it real when chaos hits. Now, before we do any of that, I want to just point your attention to behind me here and what's on the bottom of the screen, which is the Hurricane Relief Fund. And if you guys, I'm sure everybody is aware of all the devastation that's been happening in the Caribbean and the islands. There's been several different hurricanes that have now hit a various amount of different islands. Is that right? Various amount? It doesn't matter how I say it. The point is that there is quite a few islands that have been severely devastated to the point where they've actually lost their homes. If you got a picture being on an island where you can't get off and you become basically a prisoner in your own place that you live. And it's not like here where, you know, if you lose your home, your neighbor or your family up the street might be there. You got to picture your whole neighborhood being blown to smithereens, basically. And the people that are there right now are in dire straits of getting stuff there. We had a conversation, or Trish had a conversation with someone this week earlier, and he was trying to send money to his family members because right now in St. Martin, the food rations are so low that they're actually fighting over food. And basically, if you have money, you get food. That's kind of scary when you think about it. I mean, imagine that. Like when she told me that, I was sitting in front of a restaurant. People were coming in and out. Families had just finished eating. And I'm looking and I'm thinking about what she told me. And I was just blown away. So I mean, I know we're talking about chaos today, different chaos, but there's a lot of chaos in the islands right now. Please go to our GoFundMe page. If you go GoFundMe.com/Carib101 and please donate. Anything helps, even if it's $5, $10, $15. Or if you guys want to come by the office here, we are actually loading a truck next week, Thursday, and we're going to be dropping it off to a shipping company, and they're going to be shipping stuff down there. That is going to Barbuda, right? And so we are trying to get as much as we can. Our goal is to try and fill the boardroom here. If not, and your time is really constrained and you can't do anything, please go to our GoFundMe page. We are trying to get $50,000. We are now in correspondence with CARICOM. They are putting together a whole organization that is geared towards distributing the funds out to all the islands that have been affected.
So let's back that up a little bit because the names are getting dropped, but we might be confusing it a little bit. I just found out yesterday that the Consul General for Jamaica, he's now involved in a committee where a few leaders from the different islands are coming together to set up a relief effort where it's going to be directed to all the different islands, not just one. And that was good news for us because we only knew how to get help to Barbuda, but we didn't know how to get help to the other.
No, wasn't that, you told me CARICOM.
No.
So number one point for being in business with each other is to make sure open lines of communication.
So, no, it's not CARICOM. I do not have confirmation that it is CARICOM. However, The Consulate General has connected me with the organization that is doing this. I will have more details when I view that email. I saw it came in, but I haven't seen it yet. So
anyways,
I just want to make sure that we're getting all the facts right, and we're not saying it's CARICOM, because I cannot confirm that. All I know is that there's an organization that is now set up that is going to be sending donation items. They're going to be funneling money down there, so it's going to go to one central place and they can redistribute it, instead of us saying, because originally we only knew how to help Barbuda, we had no connection with St. Martin. Now we know of Dominica, and yes, we have contacts with Dominica, but before we didn't. So I just want to say that,
well,
we
regardless
now know where
of the
to send
situation,
the money.
the point is that we now have contacts. Money is going to be evenly distributed to the islands that are in need of this. We are really trying to push right now to raise the funds, because now, speaking to some of the consulates and some of the issues that we're starting to arise and see that's happening right now, guys, they have gas rations where you're allowed only $20. There's multi-million-dollar boats that are crashed up against the shore. You'll see in the back here if you keep watching it. Like, I mean, the devastation is crazy. I mean, I know multi-million-dollar boats, but they actually, believe it or not, they're not covered by insurance. So there's like $10 million boats that are there that are just blown to smithereens. And I mean, I guess they can afford it anyways. So anyways, I wanted to go through some of the stuff here with chaos and the definition of it. So if you look up the definition of chaos, it's a state of utter confusion or disorder, a total lack of organization or order. Number 2, any confused, disorderly mass, a chaos of meaningless phrases. So this weekend that just passed, we had a situation that happened. So every 2 weeks, I do all the designing, the production of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. It doesn't matter, rain, shine, chaos, tornadoes, it still has to be put together. And this was a perfect example this weekend how pulling together as a team really came into effect. And you really have to be able to pull things together in chaos and act as a team and start delegating and figuring out what the situation is and how you can handle it. So our son got sick. I mean, his typical thing is his first year back in school. He's building his immune system. He had gotten sick. Friday night, he ended up having to go to the hospital. It started affecting his lungs and his breathing. And you ended up staying in there for almost 3 days. And as much as I wanted to be there too and make sure that he was okay, the number one thing that also had to take place was we had to put together the paper, because we also had to meet print deadlines. We had to get everything out. Our situations is no excuse for our customers to get the information out and get their information out. So it was a perfect example of taking responsibility and putting aside the situation, because your number one thing is you want to be there with your kids to make sure they're okay. But Trish knew that she could do a better job looking after the kids, and I can do a better job trying to get what needed to be done, which was really stressful because at the same time it was lack of sleep. Every pop, leak, noise that came from my phone in the middle of the night, I was thinking, something was wrong. It was a call from Trish or something like that. Guys, chaos is going to hit your life no matter what. It doesn't matter. You could be in the most perfect scenario in life, and it's just going to happen. As you can see behind us, these people did not wake up one morning and say, hey, we want our island devastated. Things happen. Yesterday, it was the same thing. It wasn't chaos, but it was a thing about taking responsibility and owning what you do and who you are and your roles. Trish had to go to a meeting or a press conference yesterday. And what?
I was going to go say that we're talking a lot about chaos and responsibility. Now, how did we address this over the weekend? Like, what did we do there? Because there's obviously some steps, and we've done this before. So it was automatically what we
Okay, let's back up.
Yeah, I think we should back up. Because
Sure.
We're talking about, we're talking about this, and we've got experience, so it might be easy. But for the average people who's watching the show, what did we do when, chaos happened on Friday night?
Well, I think to us it's a normal thing because when our daughter was younger too, she was in and out of the hospital a lot, and
I think it was preparation.
Yeah,
because
There was no questions asked. We just
Yeah,
knew what had to be done.
Because my plan was to stay at work later on Friday, and then all of a sudden it shifted very quickly. I looked at you and said, he's not well. I'm going to go home and I'm going to stay home. So I took him home. I give him his medication. I packed a bag. I packed a bag for the hospital because I knew eventually this will probably happen. And then I stepped in the shower. Unfortunately, while I was in the shower, he took a turn for the worse. You walked in, you saw him, and you're like, you need to take him to the hospital. I quickly changed, and I showed up at the hospital. So I knew from then on my responsibility was Colton. Your responsibility was for Michaela and working on the newspaper. You checked in with us. We kept each other informed, and everything,
everything is always going to work out.
But we knew that we might have a potential situation, and we prepared for it. Because, had I not packed a bag ahead of time, I'd probably be running around extra 10 minutes trying to figure it out, not taking everything I need. It so happened because I did it with a calm mind. I had everything I need because I had extra clothes for me and him, which I absolutely needed that night because he threw up on me and we all had to get changed. So it was just being calm and being prepared for the what if situations when stuff is happening. Normal stuff is not happening.
You good clarifying that now?
Yes.
As you say, I'm a detail person when it comes to details of production and putting things out. Trisha's detail when it comes to facts. So.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna do a show and we're gonna share with people certain things, we gotta share with it from a standpoint that they don't know anything.
Very true. Very true. So we got to act like we're talking to Chelsea.
Absolutely, because we know what's going on in our heads. But just like when I said, well, I thought I told you that, and you're like, no, you didn't. And I'm convinced I have because I already had the conversation in my head.
See, this is good. So this is like our third show that we've done together. And now the real deal's coming out. And this is what happens at the office. This is real. This is like life working as an entrepreneur. And we actually complement each other because, I mean, as you can see, I jumped to a whole nother thing because my mind works 50,000 miles an hour. And Trish is always like, hold on, let's go through the facts and the details. So it's perfect. This is one of the reasons why the business is where it is today. We also had the situation yesterday where we had to take responsibility for everything. Mm-hmm. We couldn't get a reporter out to represent us at function. Trish made sure that she was there because it was very important. It was the Ministry of Tourism for Jamaica that was there. They were doing an exclusive press conference. And at the same time, I was still on the road delivering. So we had to take our kids, and I actually did an Instagram story last night at the end because, I mean, they were troopers. They hung out in the truck for, I guess, about close to 7 hours, and they had fun. They drove me crazy. But
oh, I'm glad they did because now you know what it's like keeping them all day and you're still trying to work.
But they hung out there. At the end of the day, they were exhausted. They had fun. And, we did what we had to do to make sure that the job got done. Our responsibilities were there. And it worked out.
And kudos to them because they woke up for school this morning and it was okay getting them off and they made it in on time. So that was really good, too.
They had fun. Don't worry. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the importance of responsibilities. Hey guys, Grant here from Care 101 Media Group, and this is an outreach video going out to everybody with a request for assistance on your part. As you guys know, there's a lot of devastation that happened in the islands because of Hurricane Irma. There are families that are hugely displaced. Some islands are over 95% inhabitable, and people are reaching out to us, asking us where they can either give products or aid or finances, and at the time we didn't know where to go.
So in order to aid in relief efforts, Care 101 Media Group has started up a GoFundMe page where the community can now go and help submit donations in order to help rebuild the infrastructure that's been damaged due to Hurricane Irma. So, going to the page, donating like at least $5, $10, even $50 isn't very much, but it will help, our Caribbean brothers, sisters, families, friends in helping rebuild their homes.
There's also a call for certain donation items as well, which are personal hygiene products they're looking for. They're requesting things like baby diapers, baby food, clothing, things like toiletry, personal hygiene products, garbage bags, disinfectants, so that they can help with the cleanup. So at our office at 55 Rutherford Road South, Unit 205 in Brampton, we are set up to receive your donations there. So instead, if you'd like to donate some items versus donating money, please come on over to the office here in Brampton. We'd be more than happy to accept your donations. We will be getting it together in about 2 weeks, and I believe the date would be September 21st that we'd like to turn the items over to the Consulate General Office for Antigua, where they'll be shipping it down to Barbuda for distribution there.
Now, keep in mind, too, that as much as it's nice to give toiletry products and stuff like this, they also have to try and get it down there. But a lot of these islands have been so hugely devastated that they need money to rebuild and get supplies and stuff like that. So we're kindly asking that if you can please, if it's $5, $10, $15, $20, please donate, because that's what they need the most. They need to start rebuilding their infrastructure, rebuilding homes, and creating shelters for these people that are displaced. So again, if you can help, we greatly appreciate it. It's perfect here where we are right now, and we can only imagine what families are going through, not having homes, losing all their possessions, and literally not having anything that they know as home around them.
And welcome back to The Gloves Are Off. Today we are sitting together as a team. If you guys heard what was happening before, no. We were at each other's throats, the gloves were off. You see the marks? No. I'm just kidding. But the subject today, of course, is we're couples in business, and we're talking about keeping it real when chaos hit. And during break, Alyssa came in. She's like, you're not getting down to the nitty gritty. You're not telling what's really going on and some of the scenarios. And there's been a lot of situations that have kind of groomed us to where we've become today and who we've become. There's been situations where when our son Colton was born, I came in, it was like he was born, and I'm like, great. I held him for 2 seconds, and I had to go. I had to go and work. And I mean, it's just stuff that had to be done.
Well, but even leading up to that, so Alyssa asked us to share, like, what if, like, worst case scenario, how do you guys deal with stuff if, like something really bad happened? So I can remember that when I was pregnant, I was in and out of the hospital all the time, and it so happens that some of those visits
and it would
were
always
around
hit
the newspaper.
on production weekend.
And you were obviously very concerned because we didn't know what was happening. And we were very.
I knew she'd be all right.
And we were very nervous because every time we went in, we were there was a threat that I was going to go into early labor, and which would have been good because he was very young at the time. But I used to look at you, and once I know that things were under control, I would tell you, you have to go, you have to get back home, and you got to start working on the newspaper because I'm okay right now and I'm at the hospital. If anything happens, you can't really help me. I need the doctors to help me. But the newspaper still needed to go to print. It still needed to be delivered. We still have our responsibilities to take care of. So you would come, you would make sure that I'm okay, and then you would have to take off. So we couldn't, we weren't. It wasn't like, oh my God, you should be here, I'm scared.
Thing is, too.
But I had to be very mature about the situation, knowing that you sitting beside me is not going to help me.
And we used to get flack. We'd get flack from family members, and they would think that, I didn't care.
Why did you leave her alone?
At the end of the day, there's no excuse, right? We still have responsibilities, and it's not like we had a 9 to 5 where we can call in and say, hey, I can't come in today. We had a business to run. And the success is never built on convenience, ever. You have to sacrifice things, and these were just some sacrifices that we had to make.
Or even remember that time when I was throwing up and I wasn't on the medication yet, and I had to go to the ER, and I told you, just drop me off. And I'm like, just put me in a wheelchair and just wheel me right beside them. They will take care of me. If something happens, somebody will come and get me.
Yeah, it was like an Uber taxi. But the thing is that we had to do what we had to do, right? So, if it took that, we were mature enough to understand and deal with the situation at the time. And it was horrible. It felt bad. But at the same time, I can't tell you, I'd go home and I'd feel guilty And my mother would call me and she'd say, well, how come you're not there? And I'm
Well,
like,
you showed back up one night, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you doing here?
yeah, because I mean, sometimes you can judge, but the thing is that even if I had to be there, then it would mean that it would be a sacrifice of sleep, because no matter what, deadlines have to be met. We can't tell, our printer has a certain time window that's open for us, so we have to make sure that we get it in. If we miss that time window, then we don't know when the paper will be printed. We have a responsibility to the public to get out the paper as well and have it delivered at a certain time. So there's all these different things that happen that behind the scenes in a business that people don't necessarily see. They always see the glamour. They always see, oh my God, the paper has gotten so big. Your name is always out there. But you don't see the sacrifices that we have made behind the scenes, and even personal sacrifices, because we have put our business first.
Well, just yesterday, I got a very respected editor within our community had said to me, I'm so surprised of how you guys have grown. And, kudos to you. I'm very happy to see this, but like, how do you do it? And it's all of these little things, the little sacrifices, the big sacrifice over 10 years that has gotten us to where we are. It's not, it's not overnight. We've been doing it for a while. There's a lot of things that we had to give up. There's a lot of compromises that we had to make, but we stuck through. We had our eyes on the goal. We knew we had a responsibility. We do what we say we're going to do. And then eventually those things start paying off.
Right. What she said. This is more of a light-hearted show today. Anyways, moving forward, we want to talk about, which totally applies to this, is accepting your responsibilities when it comes to being in business and being in business as a couple. Because at the end of the day, shit's gonna hit the fan. Always. There's gonna be chaos somewhere. There's never gonna be a perfect life or a perfect scenario. Something's gonna happen, and you gotta be able to bone up and be able to accept responsibility. Being able to accept responsibility regardless of the situation. One of my mentors always said that things don't happen to you; they happen because of you, right? Always accept responsibility, and we do that. We accept responsibility for everything that happens in our life. Always. We never point the finger, because the moment that you point the finger, you give up that right, that privilege. You give up that ownership of control of your life. And what happens?
And that takes practice, because I remember when I would make a mistake and you would come to me and I'd be like, no, because I'm so stubborn with myself, and I, didn't want to take responsibility for it, and I try to justify it, and then things were just, life was just chaotic like that, right? But once I started getting a little bit older, starting getting a little bit more experience doing certain things, I realized that, if something happens and you take responsibility and you truly understand that, okay, I need to do something about it. You apologize and you find ways to rectify it. It's not so difficult. I remember I had a couple of customers that I had to take responsibility for an error in advertising. And even though it wasn't all 100%, our fault in the situation, I had to take a step back and realize that,
take your ego out of it.
Yeah, take my ego out of it. Sometimes it's best to leave it for a day or two when you're not so emotionally wrapped up about the situation, and then go back in, apologize, present a solution, and make the customer happy. So that was like, took some learning to do that.
So here's the thing. Learning it and some of the steps to actually do it is really important. I like to break down things, and the definition of responsible, if you actually break it down, is response and able, right? Having an obligation to do something, or having control over or care for someone as a part of one's job or role. Being the primary cause of something and so able to be blamed or credited for it. Of a job or position involving important duties, independent decision making, or control over others. There's that control thing again. Over the years, I have been called a control freak. I've been told that I micromanage. If you are in business for yourself, you have to first have control over all situations that are happening, because It's your business. You create what you want. And you have to be able to essentially micromanage, because you want to be able to make sure that every part of your business is actually growing and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Right? Agree? Responsible. Sorry.
To a certain extent.
Trish is the easygoing one.
No, to a certain extent, because yes, we have to abide by the rules and regulations that are set out by the gentleman at the top, which is you. But then when you put other people in charge of certain things, you have to allow them the room to be able to make certain decisions as well.
I agree.
Now, if you have a good relationship with them, eventually they start getting to know how you would address certain situations, and then they start tweaking it and adjusting it. But you can't impose your personality on people when they're not going to execute it like you. They're not going to do it like you. So when you expect out of them, you put them in a very uncomfortable situation. You have to allow them to still be themselves, knowing.
Now, wouldn't that still be having control over the situation, because you are putting someone in a role that you're putting trust in?
I guess so.
All right. Problem solved. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
And we are back with The Gloves Are Off. If you're just tuning in, we are here together with my spouse.
I'm the spouse now, not the beautiful Trish Browning.
No, we lost at the beginning of the show. No.
We came all polished at the beginning, and now we're like, oh, whatever.
The point of the show today is, what is the point? No, today is Couples in Business, and we're talking about being real, keeping it real in situations of chaos. And of course, we were talking about some of the situations that happened to us over the last week, where our son was in the hospital. We still had to perform everything in business, so Trish took the responsibility of looking after our son in the hospital, staying with him in the hospital, and I took the responsibility of looking after our daughter and still running the business as well. We broke it down to basically taking responsibilities and being responsible for certain things in business. And now we were going to get into some of the different things that you should do to become more responsible in what you're doing. One of the biggest things that you want to do is actually get around positive people, the ones that actually take responsibility. And being real, being responsible, being honest, one of the key things is if you have a bunch of broken people around you, the ship will actually sink. So it's really important to have people that are in your organization, in your circle of friends, people you day by day hang out with. They actually take responsibility for everything that happens in your life, because if not, birds of a feather flock together, right? And Trish doesn't like this one, but get rid of those around you who refuse to take responsibility. And that includes friends. That includes people that you would maybe do business with them. It's nothing personal, ever. But I heard Lewis Howes say this when we saw him a couple weeks ago and we were talking with him. And one of the key things that he said is, if it doesn't fit my vision, if it doesn't help me progress to where I want to be, I actually have to eliminate it. And if it doesn't add to where you're going, I mean, we've had over the years many different friendships and stuff like that that were great at the time, but then what happens is you start to either first see the true person come out, or you start to realize as you grow, they don't grow, and you start to realize things. We had a situation where there was someone that we knew for years, and I started to realize that he wouldn't actually accept responsibility for anything. He was the everybody used to call him the mouth of the South. He actually used to talk about everything that happened in the community and everything that went wrong, and this person and that person. And eventually I'm like, dude, I can't take this anymore. So, I mean, eventually you just kind of back away, and it's nothing personal against them, but you have to protect your circle, your influence, what gets into your head, especially when you're dealing with day-to-day functions. And you look like you're dying to say stuff.
No, I agree with you there, because the people that are around you, like, that's the information you're taking in. It's how they make you feel or how they don't make you feel. So if you've got negative people around you, it really does affect you, and I know that for sure. So I agree with you there. However, based on my personality and who I am inside, it's very difficult for me to sever relationships like that, because I always tend to see the good in people. I always want to, well, maybe we can just talk to them, right? Maybe we can just explain the situation to them, let them know it's not, nothing against them. It's just that this is not serving us and we don't agree with certain things, so it's best to go our separate ways. However, I have learned my lesson with trying to be good. It has backfired in my face 2 times. So I've now decided to just cut it off when it's time to cut it off and do not say anything further. That way I don't dig myself in a deeper hole.
And the thing is that being able to take responsibility for your life and things that happen around you is taking control of situations that happen and situations that you walk into. We both actually have a responsibility of knowing who's not responsible in our space and actually dealing with it. It's really important, especially as a team, because we have to be in the same level, and we got to be very careful, because if Trish has a friend or someone that she associates with is either very negative or doesn't see or understand where our vision and mission and where we're going, that's one of those things where someone gets in your ear kind of thing and poisons your mind. So we both have to be very conscious over what's happening around us and who we talk to and associate with and spend our time with, because it's very valuable and it's very easy to get influenced by others. Now,
would you say that there might be 2 sides to this? Because I have got friends that I've had since I was little. Like, I know some of my friends since I was 11 years old. We've been fortunate that they've migrated and they're here in Canada as well, and I have contact with them. And those relationships, they're very easy. We really don't talk much about business, but it's truly, how are you? How are the kids? Oh, I'm so happy that things are going great with your business. I see what you guys are doing. Awesome. Keep it up. Any type of support that, because even now we're doing the relief effort, and some of my friends have come forward and, they're contributing to it. So, I've got a group of friends over there that there's no managing those relationships. They're just very easy relationships, and they're actually a positive. Well, then we've had friends along the way where, they were directly related to the business. We hung out, and it was like those relationships, they were fostered because they were doing business with us, and we turned it, and they turned into friendships and maybe a little bit more. But when those ones didn't work out, we cut those off. So would you say like there's 2 types of friendships?
Well, I mean, there's acquaintances as well. The thing is that you have to, again, be in control of your environment. So you can control what you talk about. You can control, the amount of time that you spend with the person, and be able to be knowledgeable enough to identify if, like, they're talking negative, if they're talking negative about your spouse, if they're talking negative about what you're doing. Eventually, one of 2 things: either you confront them and say, listen, I don't like how you're talking about this, this, and this, or you kind of start limiting the amount of time you spend with people, with certain people, I should say. It's all about making sure, like, look, we have one life on this planet, and we have one shot at it. You got to be able to figure out where you want to go and what you want to do. And really, if you're focused on where you want to go, you got to protect that and be purpose-driven. Really and truly. I mean, the thing is that you want to leave a legacy. You want to build something. You want to have an effect on the community. If someone is, who you grew up with all your life is constantly negative and doesn't understand what you're doing, eventually you got to say, hey, man, you know what? I love you for who you are, and I can see where you can be, but I got to move on. It's all about having control of that situation. You got to be able to control every part of your environment. Always. A perfect example. I was going to talk about this. During the week on Wednesday, it was Wednesday, right?
It was
Wednesday, a situation happened that totally changed so much of my viewpoints in life and made me realize how, first off, fragile life is, how short life can be, and you really do only have one shot in life. And I walked into a Tim Hortons, and there was this girl that was running around frantically saying, call 911. And my immediate reaction, because I'm walking into this situation, was I figured that she was, just by her attitude, the way she was composed, the way she looked, she just looked kind of... I was going to say something there.
So based on the way she looked, you automatically formed an opinion of who she was.
That's something we can get on another time. All right. But I assumed that she was causing trouble in there and was actually having an issue with one of the servers or something like that was in there. I ended up walking past her and walking into the bathroom, and there in front of me in the stall was someone who was unconscious, and all I saw was the head in the stall. And then I started putting two and two together, and there was somebody else who was really confused, but he was trying to figure out how to help, and he grabbed a chair and he was trying to reach over to unlock it, and I said, no, get out of my way, because he was just really fumbly. And instantly what happens is you start to learn to take control of the situation. So I didn't think anything else after that. I just went in and did whatever had to be done. I ended up breaking open the door. We pulled the guy out. He was going through seizures. And then because he was going through seizures, he started to kind of choke and stuff like that. Nobody knew what they were doing. I ended up telling him, I don't have first aid either. But I knew common sense, you have to push him on the side and so that we can, if there's any fluid, it'll come out. The guy ended up flatlining, and he was, I would say, dead, really. There was no heartbeat, no nothing for at least 5 minutes. And when the paramedics came, they ended up reviving him. But I walked out of there, and I remember I called Trish, and I could barely contain myself because, I looked at it, and it was somebody's life. And one of the first things I thought about was I saw the color of the guy's hair, and it reminded me of my son when I walked in, because I didn't know if it was a kid or if it was an adult. All I saw was the head that was there. And then when he was taking seizures, I remember when our daughter used to take febrile seizures, it just kind of freaked me out. But at the same time, that certain thing kicks in where you have to, because you develop it, and
survival mode.
You just take over the situation and you take control. And that is so important in business and in your life, is to learn to take control always. If you don't take control, what starts happening is what was happening with everybody else. They were just literally running around not knowing what to do. There was probably a dozen attendants and servers that were in Tim Hortons, and none of them had first aid training. They were all running around clueless, really clueless. Shouts out to them. They really tried to do something, but they were really scared, and they had no clue what to do. And I came out of that realizing one thing after, and I was like, you know what? Life is too damn short. You have one shot to make something in life and really make a difference.
So safe to say, now that it's passed, a couple days has gone, I think it probably revved you up on another level now for production. Because I know you so well that now you're looking at it like, well, you never know what's going to happen. I might be here one day. I might not be here one day. I've got all of this stuff that I want to accomplish. So now I really need to stay focused and get the stuff done.
Man, the thing is that, and I know we got to go for a break, but you don't know when your time is. We can only hope that we live to 80, 90, 100 years old if we're really lucky.
Well, but I read something somewhere that the children now can live up to about 102. Now, mind you, I don't know why that's such a big deal, because some Caribbean people, they're living past 100, right? And they were born a long, long time ago. So they're looking at saying that, they're expecting people to live longer now. So you might live a lot longer than you think.
I plan on it. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, Grant here from Care 101 Media Group, and this is an outreach video going out to everybody with a request for assistance on your part. As you guys know, there's a lot of devastation that happened in the islands because of Hurricane Irma. There are families that are hugely displaced. Some islands are over 95% inhabitable, and people are reaching out to us, asking us where they can either give products or aid or finances, and at the time we didn't know where to go.
So in order to aid in relief efforts, Care 101 Media Group has started up a GoFundMe page where the community can now go and help submit donations in order to help rebuild the infrastructure that's been damaged due to Hurricane Irma. So, you know, going to the page, donating like at least $5, $10, even $50 isn't very much, but it will help, you know, our Caribbean brothers, sisters, families, friends in helping rebuild their homes.
There's also a call for certain donation items as well, which are personal hygiene products they're looking for. They're requesting things like baby diapers, baby food, clothing, things like toiletry, personal hygiene products, garbage bags, disinfectants, so that they can help with the cleanup. So at our office at 55 Rutherford Road South, Unit 205 in Brampton, we are set up to receive your donations there. So instead, you know, if you'd like to donate some items versus donating money, please come on over to the office here in Brampton. We'd be more than happy to accept your donations. We will be getting it together in about 2 weeks, and I believe the date would be September 21st that we'd like to turn the items over to the Consulate General Office for Antigua, where they'll be shipping it down to Barbuda for distribution there.
Now keep in mind too that as much as it's nice to give toiletry products and stuff like this, they also have to try and get it down there. But a lot of these islands have been so hugely devastated that they need money to rebuild and get supplies and stuff like that. So we're kindly asking that if you can please, if it's $5, $10, $15, $20, please donate, because that's what they need the most. They need to start rebuilding their infrastructure, rebuilding homes, and creating shelters for these people that are displaced. So again, if you can help, we greatly appreciate it. It's perfect here where we are right now, and we can only imagine what families are going through, not having homes, losing all their possessions, and literally not having anything that they know as home around them.
Welcome back to The Gloves Are Off with Grant Browning, and we have Trisha Browning here. Notice the names are the same. And it's a lighthearted show today, but we are talking about taking responsibility in times of chaos and keeping it real. It's important to keep it real. I was just telling you before we went to break of a situation, an experience that happened during the week where I ended up having some guy pretty much end up die on me, and then paramedics revived him. The one thing that I would honestly have to say is that it was a point of taking control, but also taking responsibility, right? I mean, I didn't know the guy, and I'm sure he didn't plan to have that situation happen. But when I walked in there, I'm like, okay, like if I'm the only person that can do this, then I got to do this. And trust me, when he flatlined, I wanted nothing to do with him, but I didn't want to be around that stuff, right? But at the same time, you have a duty and a responsibility as a human being to help somebody else, and it's really, really important. Are you all emotional over there?
No.
Okay. All right, we're just checking in, you know. So here's the thing. The more you raise responsibility, the less fear you have in life. And it's so, so true. I mean, when you take responsibility for everything that happens in your life, you almost become fearless because you become in control. And what happens to a lot of people is they give control. They give control when they go to work. They give control when they go to church. They give control, when they go to the doctor. They give control everywhere. Nobody wants to take control and take responsibility for their life anymore. And then what happens is that's when you start pointing fingers. And let's face it, a football game, right? Both teams are praying to win. Only one's going to win. God's not going to intervene in that, right? So, I mean, take it from something like that. Understand that you have control in your life. That's why we were given that ability to have control. A lot of people give it to God and say certain things, and, and if it's God's way and God's will, that's what I'm going to do. But he gave you the will, and he gave you the strength to be able to make your own decisions and take control of your life.
So what would you say would be an example where you took control of the situation and you became responsible?
How many times?
No. I'm just saying. I'm like, share something with our viewers that, you took control of the situation to avoid, being in chaos later.
I think
because you assumed
for us,
it's ahead of time.
Everyday life. But I mean, there was a time when we decided to start the paper, right? I mean, at that point, social media had kicked in so much that our business became irrelevant, and we had to change or be changed, right? So I mean, instead of sitting there and waiting, and if it was God's will or whatever. No, we took control. We said, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to start this. We're going to do something different. And we took a total different direction with our business. And it was the best thing that could have happened to us. I remember I had a speaker that he was talking about an example, and he was talking about God came down, and he was a preacher. He said God came down, he gave 2 people money to hold. Right? And he said,
give me some of that money, Grant.
He said, I will be back, right? He came back. I'm laughing because I already know the story, but he came back a year later, and he said we'll call the first person Exhibit A. And he said, Exhibit A, what did you do with the money? He said, you know what, God? He said, what I did was I took your money and I invested it and I doubled it and I got you more money in return. He said, great, I like that. He went to Mr. Exhibit B and he said, what did you do with my money? He said, don't worry, God. He says, I took care of it. I went in the backyard and I built the biggest hole and I buried it and it's there safe for you. But the thing is that the first person took control because he got options. And because he did, and because he took that leap of faith, he went and doubled his money. And the other person just sat there and held on to it. So taking control will get you so much more. How many times? I mean, you can tell, how many times you used to be, because the automatic reaction as a human being is you want to pull back when shit happens.
And that's so me. Like, that is so me. I'm constantly being pushed out of my control, my level of comfort. You're always doing something where I get upset for a couple of minutes and then I need a couple of days to settle down and then get my act together and move on. But I'm constantly being put in an environment where you expect more, you expect more, you expect more. And the good thing is that we are all built to produce more. Like, we can. I've accomplished much more than I thought that I could because you have pushed me there, right? And I haven't broken. I'm not in pieces, and we get there. But if you don't step out of your comfort zone, you don't have somebody who believes in you and say, yes, you can do it, you're always going to be complacent. Because I would be complacent. Like, why should I work harder if I don't have to? Right? But the thing is that it's doing the things that are not comfortable that gets us farther in life.
Well, I remember hearing once that everything you want is outside of your comfort zone.
And that is so true, because now I want more and I got to get outside my comfort zone.
But the thing is that I think I learned the first lesson that I ever learned in that aspect was when I was young and I lived on the streets. And I learned from that point on what's the worst that could happen. And that's every time we do something. That's actually what I say to Trish all the time is, what's the worst that could happen? What? You lose money, you can rebuild it. Money's always available. You just got to figure out how you make it.
and see,
we went to a party one night.
Well, let's elaborate on money is always available, because coming from a background where it's, we're very conserved. We don't talk about money. We don't covet money. It's not like, oh, we always got to have money. As long as we were fed, we were safe, we had a roof over our head, we were content with that. But being in, having a business and being able to generate certain things, I realized that money is abundant, because in 2 weeks, I have drastically changed our situation by setting a goal and saying, okay, this is what we need to do. Put those numbers up on a whiteboard, and I put activity behind it, and we have gotten very, very close to that goal. I would, if I had 2 weeks of working straight 14 days on it, we would have hit that goal, but then we got distracted. But I saw how easy it was. Because a lot of the times, you get put into a situation like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And you always say, just go create more.
Well, a perfect example is, we put so much value on money, like it's this thing that just comes out of nowhere. But the thing is would you say that glass is abundant? Can you get more glasses?
Yeah.
Right? Would you say the mic is abundant? They make lots of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing. You got to understand that money is just invented by man and printed by machine. It's just, now it's a piece of plastic, right? But it's abundant. They can make more. They always have more, right?
Well, a lot of the things too, and due to coming from an advertising background, I work like a lot of the small businesses. It's like, oh no, I can't do that because they just can't figure out where the money's going to come from. But if you sit down and you don't do anything, it's not going to come. You got to do something. You got to get creative. If you start saying, I need an extra $500 this month, your brain becomes creative. You know what I mean? If you're going to say, well, what can I do? What can I do differently? Who can I call? Who can I reach out to? What can I post? What's my product? Can I do a special? If you know that you need to make more money, you just need to put action behind that. And eventually you'll see it starts working out. I can't tell you how many times that I've done that for ourselves here. I just wish I can start create more. I don't know why I'm just looking to create a couple thousand only.
Okay, so 3 takeaways, because we also have to talk about the relief fund. Number 1, success is never built on convenience.
True. I agree.
Number 2, learn to take responsibility for everything that happens in your life and
Yes.
take control. Number 3, keep it real. Understand that you are in control, and if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree with that.
Awesome. We're done. No. Guys, I want to shift focus to 2 things. Number 1, before anything else, if you haven't got your tickets yet, we have half-price tickets to the upcoming Toronto Caribbean Business Social. Everybody who attended the conference last year, there's 2 parts to the event. There's the conference as well as the exhibition place. The exhibition place has over 80 vendors, everything you could think of in there. We had cruisers, police cruisers in the banquet hall. We had food. We had everything. And then you had the conference side where we had Maestro Fresh West, Miss Shimi, Daniel Lewis, who today, it's 6 months later, I think it's 6 months or 5 months later, this guy has been invited from the Buckingham Palace for tea. This guy has gone like just crazy amounts of success since the last time he spoke 6 months ago. So these are the caliber of speakers that we have in there. Right now, tickets are half price. Everybody who attended the conference last year, first off, had a great time. Mm-hmm. Never experienced anything like this because there's entertainment. We had all the salsa dancers. We had everything you could think of that was there. Number 2, they had food. They had lunch. The lunch was a 5-course meal. It was catered by the banquet hall. It was not rice and peas. It was really well done. Nothing against rice and peas. I love rice and peas, but it came out wrong.
No, but
it was
essentially
amazing
what you're
food.
trying to say, that it wasn't, it wasn't just rice and chicken and some vegetables. It was nicely done.
Yes. So what I'm saying right now is tickets are half price right now. You can either get general admission. General admission will just get you entrance to see the speakers, or you can get VIP. VIP comes with many things, including goodies. It also includes lunch, and you're not going to want to miss lunch this year because the people that didn't get the tickets last year didn't get to enjoy the lunch, and they were sitting on the other side kind of drooling over the food, but the food was really good. Anyways, on to next things. Guys, also, if you want information on that, you can either give us a call, 647-722-6298. If you guys are looking to be exhibitors, 647-722-6298, and we can definitely accommodate that. Or if you go to eventbrite.com, you can get your tickets on there right now. Search the Toronto Caribbean Business Social. You'll get your information there. We're not releasing who speakers are yet, but I'm guaranteeing you they are going to be good because we've already signed a few. We almost have 25% of the exhibitors sold out already, and we're still like 8 months away.
So, 2018 is gearing up to be a wonderful year. We are getting feedback. Believe it or not, people are already starting to talk about it because people know that it's happening. Just today, I got a phone call from a vendor who's looking to book as well. So, there's stuff that's happening, and even though we're 8 months out, the activity has started. We started pushing it out already, and come November is when we really want to start promoting all of the vendors and people like that. So get at us early. We have an early booking that's available.
Trish is in love with her mic. So
well, it's only because I was told to be conscious.
She's used to
of
radio.
where-
She's used to when we had the radio.
No,
Anyways,
it's only because I was told to be conscious of I'm speaking into the microphone so all of our lovely guests can hear what I have to say and not miss a word of it.
on a serious note, because we're now getting over time, please, if you can take the time, find it in your heart to please get involved, either by coming by the office, dropping off some non-perishable items, toiletries, diapers. I'm trying to think here.
You need some help with the list?
First aid supplies, anything like that. If you guys want to come by the office, 55 Rutherford Road, Unit 205. We're in Brampton, Ontario. You can also give us a call, 647-722-6298. We are sending a truck on Thursday. We're filling our big truck, and we're bringing it to the shipping company who's going to ship all the stuff down to Barbuda. If you haven't heard, you've been sleeping under a rock or something like that, Barbuda is almost 100% uninhabitable. They have lost everything. And then you also have the other adjoining islands like St. Martin, which is right beside it. All these islands have been heavily, heavily affected. There are people fighting for food. Gas is short. They have no electricity. There's still tropical storms coming through. There's more hurricanes, and they need help fast. Like, I'm talking really fast. So guys, if you can find it in your heart and you can't make it, you can't drop stuff off, we ask that you kindly take 2 seconds, $5, $10, $20. It doesn't matter. Everything helps. Go to gofundme.com/Carib101 and go in there and please donate, or find a local charity that you may trust, that you know that the stuff is going to be sent down there. I believe it's within the next week. Our goal is to hit $50,000. We're trying to raise, and we are turning it over to the consulates. They have formed an amalgamated group that is actually within all the consulates of the islands that are affected, and they're distributing the money to the islands according to need and what they need. So it's really important that we step up as humans, show what building community is all about, and please find it in your hearts. A phone bill can wait till next week, next month. I'm serious. Because put yourself in a different situation. If it was you and you were devastated.
No, I think pay your phone bill because you need to pay your bill. You need to be responsible. But if it's only $5 or $10, whatever it is that you can spare, send it there, and then share the link. Share it with your friends. Inspire them to do the same, because that is how it grows. So if you don't have a lot to give, I'm sure you have a little bit of time. You do have a friend or two. If you didn't give and you didn't ask them to give, then, the money would never be collected. So if it's a small amount is what you can afford, send whatever you can afford and share it with people and ask them to do the same.
As you can see, she's the loving one. Listen, take responsibility for it. That's the way I look at it. We have a responsibility to help everybody around the world. I mean, when someone's in need, if that was your child that was there and they were in trouble, you would find every which way to figure out how you can help them. It doesn't matter if it's your child or not. It's a human being. Human beings, there's tons of them that are down there that are displaced. They are either hurt or, they don't know what they're doing, like what to do, because they have no home. It's crazy. Some of the footage that I've seen that's come out of there, either from news or different coverage, or from people themselves. They have some pods that are around where you can go and you charge your phone for a few minutes. You're able to call some of your relatives that are in other countries to say that you're okay. So people are starting to upload some videos, and the stuff that you're seeing is unbelievable. The devastation is.
Well, I mean, if you think of the emotional condition that these people are in right now, how broken they are, you know what I mean? Let's send them a little love. Let's show them that there's people around the world that care about them.
Yeah, we're in Canada. Right?
Like
People care. We're known as the most caring, nice people around.
Well, we're here and we're okay. If something was to happen to you and you needed help, you would want people to help you. You would accept the help that you're given, right? So why not reach out and do the same as well?
Well, think about it this way: when you're sitting down eating dinner tonight with your family, think about the ones that are right now fighting over food. When you go to bed tonight and you realize you have a roof over your head, a soft mattress, and a nice pillow and a blanket to pull over because you got your AC on and you're comfortable, think about the families that are down there right now with no roof on their head, over their head, no bed, some of them, and they're just trying to figure out where they can sleep. That's the way I look at it, and I realize I have a duty and a responsibility to try and do what I can as a human being to try and make sure that we do our part to try and help.
And we've had, like people are really starting to contribute. There was a gentleman that walked in here yesterday, and I spoke to him and I asked him where he's from, and he's from Trinidad. And I said, okay, thank you so much for donating. And he says that what, like we have to. We're all people. Mm-hmm. We need to. And he was very generous. I was so grateful when I saw the bags of stuff that he brought when we went through it. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have no idea who he is. He just walked in and brought a slew of stuff and said, here, this goes to them. So we need people like that to come
And the thing
forward.
is that I know Florida and Houston have also been devastated with stuff, but to me, not to discount what happened down there, they are connected to other states, to a country to which they can either leave their current situation, go stay in a hotel, go with family, or go wherever. The people that are in...
Not only that, I'm sure that the government officials can get them
Absolutely.
transported to
But
another
remember one
part
thing.
of the country.
St. Martin, Barbuda, Dominica just recently got hit 2 nights ago. They are devastated as well. You got to think of living on an island and not being able to get off. You're surrounded by water. You are a prisoner in your own place. You can't. It's a paradise when it's nice. Right now, it's not nice there. The hotels are destroyed. Everything is destroyed.
Like all the roofs are gone from the houses.
Yes.
Like you can't even stay in your home. I know in Dominica they're asking for tarps because they need to create shelters.
Yeah. So I mean, it's crazy what's happening down there. I feel sorry for everybody who has been devastated and touched by the hurricanes that have happened and affected by the hurricanes that have happened. But for us, our focus is in the Caribbean because a lot of these people, they had plane tickets when they thought that Maria was going to hit St. Martin again. They had plane tickets available. They were starting to get people off the island because there are no roofs on the houses. There's no shelter for these people. And what's left for structures are not safe right now for the winds that are going to come through. And within 2 hours, the plane's tickets sold out. And everybody else had to stay and figure out what they were going to do. Right? So people are really, really in trouble, guys. Like really in trouble down there. This is not a ploy. This is not to make us look better and like that. This is really, we're like asking people in the public to please, our viewers, to help out, contribute, do what you can, spread the word, let people know that there are people that are in real trouble down there.
Yeah, like I think that if you start watching some of the videos that's being circulated, you would truly understand why we are appealing every day to people, because it's very difficult to sit down and ignore what's happening and like not feeling that you can do more. Because I think as a community we can do a lot more. People just need to start taking action.
Absolutely. So with that, GoFundMe.com/Carib101. If you guys need information on how to drop stuff off here, we are a hub. We've just been listed as a hub as well for Dominica now. So donations we are an official donation spot here. 55 Rutherford Road, Unit 205. We're open from 9:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. during the week. You can give us a call, 647-722-6298, and we can give you more information. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I know we went extra long. I know we went on from a really light and happy show to a very serious part of it, but it is really serious. We can joke around all we want and have fun, but there's people on the other side right now that are not even the other side, but below us right now in the Caribbean that are really hurting. So we need to help, and it's our duty and responsibility. So with that, guys, please be sure to add your comments, and we'll see you next week.